You know, for as long as we've been farming, we've tried to control everything around our crops. But what if the real secret to a perfect harvest wasn't about controlling the air, but about actually listening to the plants themselves? Well, today, we're going to dive into a technology that does just that. It's called the plant computer.
This question right here, this really gets to the heart of a massive shift in agriculture. See, we've gotten really good at setting what we think are the perfect conditions for plants. But what if the plants themselves could give us the settings? What if they could just tell us, hey, I need a little more of this or back off on that, moment by moment? That's the idea that's changing everything. Okay, so to understand where we're headed, let's first look at how things work right now. In pretty much any modern greenhouse or vertical farm, there's a climate computer in charge. It's this incredible system that manages all the variables, light, temperature, humidity, CO2, to create this perfectly consistent environment.
And look, this system is super effective, up to a point. A grower's experience and their planning, that gets them about 80% of the way to a great harvest. But that last 20%, that's the magic. That's the fine-tuning that turns a good yield into an absolutely exceptional one. And that part has always been more of an art than a science.
And that's the big problem, right? The climate computer is fantastic at managing the room, but it has this huge blind spot. It can't see the plant itself. There's just no way to directly measure if a plant is doing well or, if it's happy. Growers are basically managing the environment and just hoping the plants are responding well.
I mean, think about it. By the time you can actually see a problem, like some wilting leaves or a bit of discoloration, that plant has been stressed for days. The damage has already been done, and it's already affecting your final yield. It's a totally reactive approach, and in farming, being reactive costs you.
So this is the big shift. On one side, you've got the climate computer, which is just managing the environment around the plant. And on the other, you have the plant computer, which responds directly to what the plant needs. It all boils down to moving from slow, reactive fixes to fast, proactive adjustments based on what the plant is telling us right now.
So if we're going to build the plant computer, we first have to learn the plant's language, right? We need a way to hear what they're saying long before our own eyes can see a problem. And it turns out the secret is this faint, invisible glow.
It's a process called chlorophyll fluorescence. Basically, when a plant is doing its photosynthesis thing, it gives off this tiny invisible glow. You can think of it like a vital sign. By measuring the intensity of that glow, we can see exactly how efficiently that plant is turning light into energy. It's a direct, real-time health meter for the plant.
So here's how it works, broken down real simple. Step 1, light hits the plant's leaves. Step 2, the plant uses most of that light energy to grow. Step 3, any little bit of energy it can't use gets released as that faint glow. And step 4, we measure that glow and boom, we get an instant reading of how well that plant is performing.
Now what's interesting is that scientists have known about chlorophyll fluorescence for decades. They've been using it in labs for a long, long time. The real breakthrough, the thing that actually makes a plant computer possible, is the brand new technology that lets us use this science on a massive scale inside a commercial farm. And this was no small feat. It was a huge engineering challenge. For this to be useful, a sensor had to be able to scan hundreds of plants from meters away, not just one little leaf in a lab. It also had to be totally automated because growers don't have time for that. And maybe most importantly, it had to be affordable enough for a commercial farm to actually use it. So cracking those engineering problems was really the final piece of the puzzle. Now this tech is out of the lab and it's in commercial farms all over the world. So what happened? Well, the results are proving just how powerful it is to finally be able to listen to what our plants have to say. Get this. In one project with a vertical farm company called IGS, they used this technology to fine-tune the light recipes for crops like basil and lettuce. By giving the plants the exact type of light they were asking for, they saw a 40% increase in yield. 40%!
And it's not just about getting more stuff. In a trial with Bayer Crop Science, the goal was to get smarter about watering peppers. By using the sensors to water the plants only when they showed the very first signs of thirst, they saved 25% of their water, while getting the exact same yield as the group that got all the water they wanted.
And when you look across all these different partnerships, you really see how flexible this approach is. With IGS, it was about optimizing light for that huge yield boost. With Bayer, it was all about precision watering to save a precious resource. And with a Swedish lettuce grower called Gardin, using this real-time feedback to adjust their lighting led to a 34% increase in packable yield. Different problems, different crops, but the same plant-driven solution.
The most crucial part in all this is the speed. In both the loose Gardin and Bayer trials, the sensors picked up on the very first signs of drought stress in just 24 hours. That's an early warning system that gives growers a heads up days, sometimes even weeks, before they'd ever see the problem with their own eyes.
So what we're talking about here isn't just a fancy new sensor. It's a whole new philosophy for growing food. It really represents the next chapter in controlled environment farming, one that's driven by direct feedback from the plants themselves.
At the end of the day, it all comes down to this. We are moving away from being reactive, putting a bandage on a problem after the damage is done. Instead, we're moving toward being proactive, anticipating a plant's needs and stopping stress before it can even start.
This gives growers a completely new toolkit. Suddenly, they can increase and even predict their yields with way more accuracy. They can catch stress super early, cut costs by using resources like water and power more efficiently, and ultimately, they can create these dynamic, responsive recipes that give plants exactly what they need right when they need it.
In this new era, it actually has a name. It's being called real-time response agriculture. It's this idea of a system where the farm is in a constant conversation with the plants, always adapting the environment to meet their precise biological needs.
And honestly, this technology is just getting started. It's already optimizing light and water, which is huge, but the potential is just enormous. It really leaves us with this final thought. For the first time in human history, we can truly listen to our crops in real time. And the only question now is, what other secrets are they waiting to tell us?